Hello, it's Dawn with Astrology and Tarot Alchemy, and with me today I have Angie from Learn Love Tarot. Say hello, Angie.
Hi guys. Hey. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. This is going to be so fun doing a collab. Thank you.
And she is actually a numerology expert, so I'm very excited about this because I have enough things running around my head with astrology that I don't need to add other numbers to it to kind of wipe out whatever brain power I might have left. So we're going to start. This is the energy of the 1010 portal. So we decided we'd do that and that we're going to each have pull 10 oracle cards with this energy. So let's go ahead and start with the first thing. What is this Jupiter retrograde bringing in? So let's get a card. Start with that. Oops. Of course, I had one volunteer.
I got mines.
Okay, mine is Let It Go, number 24 card.
Wow.
Let it go, Jupiter. Jupiter, that very. What is that?
This man holding a coin, which is a 43 card, but what flew out before that you saw there on screen was the woman holding a coin. So this wanted to come out here about, what lessons are being incorporated. The sun is starting to rise, like this new opportunity kind of energy. What is your card about?
I think it's about, because it's got this heart involved in it, and this, I feel like these birds are just untying the knots to that. Whatever you may have had again, as holding against other people, to let that go, because I think that's blocking your heart as things are happening. So the birds are in the process of untying that tight little bow around that heart, the center of the heart. So that's the energy that let it go. Is it something that's really that important?
I love that. And it's like they're untethering like a hot air balloon so that heart can rise and float up.
Mm-hmm. And it's
rise energy.
Mm-hmm. Airspace, right?
Wow.
Airspace.
I also got, as if there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alarmed now. It's just a spring clean for the May Queen, because it kind of looks like hedges.
Mm-hmm.
So, Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the rose petals that are drifting through, that's rose petals that look like butterflies that are going through. But yeah.
And it kind of looks like a portal, Dawn.
Yeah.
Much. Oh my gosh. I love it. Okay. The green and the green. And we've got Taurus and Capricorn energy there with the man and the woman holding the coin, surrounded by air. What was the number again?
It was a 24.
24. Okay.
24.
So that's 6 energy, and it's a love card, the lovers.
Of course. So we want to pull from the bottom of the deck then?
So way I do, you're however you like to do yours. I'm going to pull through whatever is ready on the top, and then whatever's on the bottom, I'll do as that crossing energy
as when we finish. Okay.
Yeah.
This is new to us. We're kind of doing.
We're trying it out, guys. We're trying something out. We're just doing it. We're just doing a collab. We hope you like it. It's just some funsies.
So I have next thing is, what blocks are going to be coming up for us? What blocks? So let's get that energy. What blocks? Volunteers. Kind of, they want to. But this Jupiter energy is pretty. Oh, there we go. Ooh. Huh. 2 cards came out.
This was happening. Did this happen to you a lot? It was just today in my client reading. And then when I did my live, I was trying to clarify a card with a different deck, and it would give me the same dang card, which it's done now. I'm asking, what are the blocks, which makes sense. 9 of Swords here, and this is a shattered self-image because it kind of looks like a makeup compact. And see how she's kind of hunched over. It's like the Fabergé egg has been shattered. And with what lessons are being incorporated, if that's financial or a person, it's crossed. That's the King of Pentacles energy crossed by the King of Pentacles energy as how that's being tested. So the blocks.
So I've got blocks. I've got lessons.
Blocks. And our next one's lessons. Okay.
Yep.
That was a fast flipper.
They're busy today.
Busy. Oh, they were. I knew that. I can't claim it because I didn't say it, but I knew it. And then our fifth question was, how can we be bold?
How can we be bold?
Okay.
Ah, there.
Here we go.
Bottom of the deck.
Wow.
Of course. Of course.
Mm-hmm. Double full moon. What? 3 freaking full moons. Wow.
Okay, so what I have for the question of, so we had the Jupiter, what is Jupiter bringing in is here. And then what blocks do we have coming in? And this is what I got, opening to discovery. And I think that is what the block is, that people aren't doing that. They're not being willing to open up and see what's out there. It's that, and we've had this lesson come up with Spiritual View before, where it's what everything you want is the other side of fear, right? Mm-hmm. And to me, that's what this is saying. This is a number 34 card. So it makes it a 7, which is my life path number. But look at this. I love this key. I love this portal energy. I love this door. I love, you're going into a whole new area of discovery, and you have to be open to that. So that's what I'm really getting from this energy of, what is the block? Not being willing to walk through that door, not being willing to use the key.
And that's a fear-based, that is fear-based too, mm-hmm. Of like, even if something is good, door number 2 is going to be better than door number 1. And it's interesting that you said that there's a key there and it's opening up, because I just like the Fabergé egg or they open, right? They click shut. A compact opens and click shuts. We have to be open, even if we've gotten clobbered, something has shattered our sense of self here, keeping us from sleeping. We're still kind of thinking about the pain or the fear, the way that this hurt us before or kind of caught us. And then in order to get out of that, we've got to open back up to who we are and then walk through that portal energy. I love how that hedge kind of looked also like the portal. And then now on that block, it's like, yeah. And now you got to walk through. And I'm also seeing the yin and yang of that with the dark and the light. And it's like, this is how we get in. What's the bustle in the hedgerow? What is the thing that's monkey minding and telling ourselves to be afraid? Interesting.
Well, and the other thing I know too about Fabergé eggs is that they usually had some unique thing, some little twist on how to open them. It was like there's a little hidden catch thing. It wasn't always just like you open it up. There's like little tricks to it, right?
I know nothing about Fabergé eggs. That's amazing.
Yeah. So there's usually some kind of a little, special thing with it. And so it was like a surprise. That's part of it. That there was always a surprise.
Oh, you got to find the key. You got to work some things around. And even if we're like, you don't just keep giving up because you want to open the egg, right?
Right.
That is really neat. Okay. I'm here
So,
for it.
yep. So, now I've got a burst of magic for the hidden information. The what is hidden? What are the lessons? Trust. Trust in that piece inside of you. Um, and it's remember when we're learning how to trust your intuition. And I think that's a good place to start, is that burst of magic that, because when I was first reading tarot and just kind of like got out of my head and just started looking at the cards and what the meanings were and started talking. And then all of a sudden things would be like, oh, that's
Yeah.
what that means. It's like, ding, oh, that's what that means. And then I would kind of be like, does that make sense? And they're like, oh, yes, that makes sense. So it's that intuition that you get that you have to learn to trust it. I think everybody in the group of people that we know, a lot of our people that follow this channel and Pathfinders that follow MJ's channel, etc., is that there is that learning of how to trust yourself. And I think that is part of that magic, learning how to trust yourself and trust your instincts. And then it's just like, oh, it's surprising how natural it becomes after you first learn how to do it. At first, it's like, I'm trying too hard. I'm trying way too hard. And then after you just get out of your monkey brain, then things just started coming much easier. Like you don't think about it. You just lay the cards out and then have them tell you the story.
Yep.
And
Because
I think
as soon as you get in the thinking brain, then that's not intuition any longer. Like your intuition is like first less than half a second. Like, and then if we start mind mapping all these things into it, then it's no longer intuition.
Right. Instead of saying, this is what this card should mean, then you're like, no. I always have like whenever the 5 of Pentacles comes out, it almost means something different every time I draw it out. And it's just like whatever is the feeling is when I draw it out, it's like, that's what is going on. So that's always an interesting energy, I think, for people at that, and the cups energy too. There's certain cups that are like the 5 of Cups is interesting energy too, where to remain.
That is all. Think of it, the 5 in numerology is of change itself, right? So it's that meaning is going to be changeable depending on the cards that are around it, depending what's crossing the energy, depending if the cards around it are in shadow or light, is how we're looking and blending that energy. And the 5s are really all the most changeable kinds of energies. That, and I always have to clarify 7 of Cups, because it's the same thing. It depends what's around it, whether it's spoiled for choice or emotional fragmentation, right? So I love that lotus flower was there, because that's come up here after the 1010 portal that we're asking about, the journey to wholeness. It's right on that huge lotus flower is at the top of it. And then on the 10th, when this moon goes into that first quarter on the 1010 portal, we got the crown chakra card when we pulled up for the spiritual view, also a lotus here on the bottom. So that is really neat. What was the number on that card?
That was a 48.
So a 12 of hangman's, with seeing something from a 180, taking the pain. Can we see that then as, how is this working for me? Instead of why is it happening to me? Reframe our words there. And if lotus is kind of indicative of healing, right? So that's like healing that shattered, whatever is shattering our reality, is there to, that's what's blocking that. And then you had the lessons or the information about that. And it's like wanting to run away from the lessons, or running to run away from looking at what needs healed within ourselves. Because to your healing card, I got the 7 of Swords. So in this deck, you can see the full moon, and it's like, ooh, I don't want to shine the spotlight there. I hope nobody sees me. Like, she's like, maybe nobody will notice. But if we keep stuffing that down, It's like you can paint the house the outside color, any color you want it to make it what you want it to be seen as. But if we're actually kind of trying to sidestep the spiritual lesson of it and not let it unfold and know we can come out of the mud like the lotus and it unfolds one leaf at a time, we can be in such a hurry to get to the thing that we want, that we may miss that portal door. The bustle in the hedgerow is like inside of it's on the house. It's what's going on around the house too. So don't be alarmed. It's just something we need to clean out. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's just a spring queen for the May queen. It's just so that we can come into that queendom, come into reign, in that kingdom. I feel like there's such a sense of, oh no, I don't want anybody to find out my flaws, but that's some of my favorite things about people. Because
they are
human.
human. They are human. And for the last one, I got, how can I be bold? The Rose's Kiss, right? So this is a number 9 card. And I really feel like it's being willing to put yourself out there, thorns and all, where you have that, just that opportunity to be completely different and yourself and be willing to blossom in that energy. So it's not being perfect, but it's being unique.
Yep.
And that's very Aquarius energy that we're going to be moving into. And there's like this cute little bug on there.
A ladybug.
Ladybug.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. And the thorns, it's the 9 card, which is coming back then to how can I be bold, is show people your broken parts. That's the 9. Those are both the 9s there. So show people your broken parts, even if you haven't quite figured out how to crack your code of your Fabergé egg, or you don't know, you're trying to maybe, I don't want anybody to see those. The lesson here with our lesson question is like, you can't just run forever. There's going to have to be a point of confrontation here within self. You got to show your thorns.
Well, and I think too, that this ties back into what these were saying. You have in Sleeping Beauty, in some of the stories of Sleeping Beauty, it was a hedge full of rose bushes and thorns, and they were trying to cut through them, things untied, and going through that portal. I think there's a lot of that portal energy here is definitely open. And being that it's a 10-10 portal, I feel like there's definitely work involved. It's not an easy thing to kind of push through. I think there's, definitely some issues about being brave, getting past your own fear quite a bit, and then bursting through is kind of the message that I'm getting. And I know that's these are 24, 34, 48, 9. And then on the bottom, I got for the commitment being tested is I got a tall tale. And it's like, this is Pinocchio energy. And it's like, what stories are you telling yourself that you can't? What, it's like, oh, but, I'm not a real little boy. I'm not, it's definitely that energy of being an adventurer, but it's like, what stories are you telling yourself that prevent you from moving on? That's the energy. And this is a 35 card. So
what's out of balance? Yeah. Like, I got no strings to hold me down. Isn't that for Pinocchio?
Yep, it is.
That's the right cartoon. It's been a long time.
No strings on me. Yeah.
For kids. Okay. And then in the back of him, there was water there. It's like, what emotionally is holding us in the landlock there? It's like there's a fear, that big fear, because again, 7 of Swords, 9 of Swords being like, what's the block? The 9 of Swords, what lesson is it? And you just said something. See how her arms are wide open, and she's like, what? You got to be like this is me. You got it. Here's my thorns. Here's that hedge I'm breaking through on to the other side. Break on through to the other side. It's like you're trying to avoid something that you think that is going to be a problem, but it's not. It's like you're trying to hide your flaws in the bushes. There's nothing to see here. Like, but it's part of it. And people kind of want to skip over that, stay hiding under that hat, or stay on that land where it's safe and not go and get in the water.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Behind them.
Yeah.
It's like invisible strings though. Yeah. Okay. Or that was your bold, and that was the hat on the bold of like, get into the Pinocchio hat, right?
Yeah, that was the commitment.
Oh, your bottom card energy. Got it.
Yeah, bottom card
Okay.
energy.
How is the commitment being tested? And when I okay.
I think it's not believing in yourself, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
what stories are you telling yourself that
3 came and flew on the ground when we had our question 5, how can I be bold? And they were King of Cups, Chariot, 2 of Pentacles, which I always explain. The King of Cups is equal in his head and his heart. So for my end, how can we be bold? It's like you've got to get that alignment. You've got to get those 2 energies to match up in yourself, because only the soul can drive the chariot. She's on a magic carpet here. And there's that kind of like, that's how we get into that portal in the full moon. It's like 1, 2, 3 full moons. And you've got to make a choice. Stop trying to kind of play both worlds. And it's that fantasy world of Pinocchio. Well, this is Cinderella. And she's like, do I go in the ball? Do I not go in the ball? Do I go? Like, she's kind of going back and forth from these 2 lives. And in this chariot card, how can we be bold? We're holding both of the chess pieces. There are no winners and losers. There's only balance within self. And that, because there has to be that head and heart alignment. There cannot be, do I go in this ball to a whole new life, or do I just go back home and still be what my sisters and stepmother think I am? And that is really, really cool. And then the crossing energy, you had the hat. That hat is sticking in my craw for a reason. Why is the hat? I feel like it's trying to hide under that hat. Like, again, yeah, I don't want anybody to see my flaws. But there are thorns on roses. That's just we are both those things. And this is yin and yang. How can we be bold? Embracing both sides of ourselves. We can't just only say the good and be like, oh, there's nothing to see here, nothing bad. Nope, not me. And then go home and boo-hoo and hide inside our Fabergé egg. We're complicated human beings. We are all unique and different. What's going to unlock one person and be the key is not going to be the same for another person. And we have to kind of have grace for that as well. What works for one person isn't necessarily going to work for the next person. You have to kind of try some things out, try different strategies, try different ways. That is really, 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 really cool there. And the commitments being tested, by tower moments. I mean, crossing energy, king. What lessons are being incorporated? King of Pentacles, and then what also came up as what commitments being tested? King of Pentacles, our worth, our value. Do we see ourselves less valuable because we have thorns? The thorns do not take away the beauty.
Yeah. And it's a protection, actually. So I'm thinking, I went ahead and had cards fall out for me. I always like to get them. I felt like they needed to volunteer this time. And what I really found is on this, what is Jupiter bringing in, and this retrograde that's starting. And the 2 cards that came out for me was this Child of Pentacles, which is, of course, the page energy. And I felt like, okay, we're going back to the beginning. It reminds me of Princess Bride. If things go wrong, go back to the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is the beginning. If you know the scene that I'm talking about, any good girl has seen that many, many times, and my sons can recite lines from it. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
That's how you know people are your people also, when they can quote the same movie quotes that you do,
Yeah.
you like.
I do not think that word means what you think it means. Yeah, those things. And so I feel like this is like taking us back. So Jupiter is actually going retrograde in Gemini, and it can be relearning things. It can be, it's going back and looking at things from a childlike point of view. Because then I also got the Ace of Cups coming back into that. So maybe starting over, starting something new, taking a different look at things, because it's Gemini energy, and that's communication. And you're first going to have to backtrack. That's the thing. It's going to be going backwards. It's going to be going retrograde back to 11 degrees of Gemini.
Okay,
So
that's
anything,
right.
anything that you have in those areas of your chart. And of course, by the time it goes direct, Pluto will then be going direct into Aquarius, which is an air sign, but it shouldn't be really affecting it that much because it's early degrees. But whenever Pluto enters into a new sign from an old sign, you do get, when back in February, did you feel it when I felt it like within the hour when Pluto moved from Capricorn to Aquarius? It was
like I could breathe.
Yeah. So that might be coming out because it is going into an air sign, and it is Aquarius, and Aquarius is about freedom. So I think once we step into that energy, and then Jupiter is letting us, I think it's slowing down that progress that has been going so quickly. Remember, everything was just like this.
Yeah.
AI, all of a sudden AI exploded in a matter of months. So I think things are going to slow down just a little bit while Jupiter is regrouping, and then things will start happening again quickly once Jupiter goes direct again. Then that's after that's into next year that's going to be happening, because it'll be 4 months that it's actually in retrograde. So there we have that energy going on.
I love that little bear. That Page of Pentacles is so cute. And you're asking what lessons are incorporating, and to be a King of Pentacles, you've got to be a page.
Yep.
You've got to go through the steps. You can't just skip to the front of the lunch line, right? You've got to wait just like everybody else. And I think the last gasps here of this patriarchal Capricorn energy and Pluto, it's like hanging on tight. Well, you can't just jump and be the CEO of a company without learning how the company works. And the kings do send out the pages. The pages bring the king the information, and they're the most learned. We shouldn't discount that Page of Pentacles because he is the most learned of all the pages. And if you think about it, in the kingdoms, they had access to education, the pages, as well as, of course, the court. But the people of the land didn't have access to that same education. So a child could well know more. They could learn more really than the king, because the king's doing other things that maybe, he's keeping himself busy with the kingdom. But the Page of Pentacles being the most learned and bringing back and forth that information, the kids were educated more than the adults. But they're learning from the ground up too. So I love that. I think that's really cool that there's something we need to go back here before we can be the king. What lessons are being incorporated? That's where we need to retrograde into Jupiter and go reverse, rewind. Let's go back and kind of think of when we were first learning how to do this, even if we are a king now, but the king has to go in retrograde and go back to being a page and reincorporate some of these lessons. Otherwise, what are we running away from in the 3D? What kinds of things do we need to relearn that throws a wrench in our works every single time and puts that block up? And it does have to do with self-esteem. And King of Pentacles is supposed to be the king of the kings. He's already learned the swords, the cups, and the wands. So, but it is something about kind of retrogrades are about internalizing and internal lessons, something internal with the 3D, time, energy, money, resources. Maybe it's simply they're just seeing something as from the eyes of a child. How can I value fun more? You know, you got to go for the money. You got to go for the honey when you're a bear, where you've got to have fun again going after that honey. Maybe, you know, some people are a little bit bored with everything they have. And they're like, well, I got here. Now what? So
Well, that's the child in
back.
the ace. Yeah, child in the Ace of Cups, right?
Yeah.
That, you know, let go some of the things that have been. I think that people need to take themselves less seriously, honestly.
Yeah, totally. Running the field. There's a field back here too. We have the 2 cards of the field, and it's like, go back to what did you used to enjoy. Currency isn't just physical money. Currency is love. Currency, it's all the pentacles encompasses all the other suits. So currency is also time. Can we get home in time for dinner? Can we spend more time with family? Can we spend more times with our pages and our cubs? Because you're not going to get that time back. You can always make more money, but you can't get those childhood times back. And maybe this is too for people that have grown up too fast. They had to grow up way too fast and be responsible for things they shouldn't have had to be responsible for. Siblings, multiple jobs in high school, whatnot. And we've forgotten how to have fun because it just wasn't a thing.
You know? Well, what tarot are you going to get for this? I'm interested as to what the tarot will be for you. So
I kind of want to know here. Yeah, like we've got how we can be bold, and that's alignment. She's holding the chess pieces, learning how to play, making a choice, because hovering between 2 worlds is not gonna cut it here. So if we're asking what lessons are being incorporated, it would technically King and Queen of Pentacles. Let me get more here. See if we can. I still feel it's tied to that 7, whatever we're running from. Yeah. Again, the 2. Are we doing what we always have done because we were supposed to do it? Well, here comes this floater. Here comes a responsibility. Got to take care of that. I'm running the show. Got to take care of that. But there's the sun here thing. And I was just about to go and communicate that through that conch shell. I was just about to head to that sun, and boop, here comes in another responsibility. Well, is it really yours? It's like taking on too much. We're forgetting the fun part. What about the time that you're never going to get back when you have to choose something that you don't? This lesson is coming back again. We've come to this crossroads before. Are you going to choose yourself and your happiness in your cup?
Leave
Your
yourself
Ace of Cups. Yeah. Or are you going to choose to go back into the same pattern? It's like not getting all the way dressed up and ready to go to the ball, and then being like, nah, I'm not going to go inside because so-and-so called. They need me to go do XYZ. No. Prioritize your time to yourself. Yeah.
I bet a lot of people have had that where they felt, you know, where you've gone through everything to get ready to go do something, just like getting ready for the ball, and then you just don't push on to that last bit that actually, you know, pedal, gas pedal, you know, you've gotten ready, you've gotten everything kind of lined up, and it's like you're just ready to walk through the door, and you don't do it.
Like you're driving on fumes, like you ran out of gas before you could actually go into the ball because you're so freaking exhausted from doing all the time, instead of thinking of time and fun as a currency. That's being. That's different. That's getting all dressed up with no place to go. Like you already did all the work here to get to a king status. Now, where can we rewind? How can we incorporate other forms of currency? How can we look at what we're valuing here? That really because there's some kind of unhappiness here at the end of the day, even though there's the status, even though she's beautiful, she's all dressed up and she's ready to go. There is something about it feels a little empty. You can't buy time. You can't buy love. You can't buy memories. And if you're not running through the field with your kids acting like a silly goose, there's only a certain amount of time. That is not, it's not infinite. It's finite. And money's not. You can always just thinking about, I feel like the really big message is reevaluation of what we value. And I think what we value is not coming from self. This is what's been handed down, the patriarchy, the tradition. This is the way it's always been done. And I'm always the one that goes and picks up so-and-so and gets them out of the trouble. I don't think that's where this is going anymore. It's like restructuring a foundation, and that has to start back with, well, what do I actually value? And what is it that I want? How can I be more childlike? How can I pull something fun into this? Because it's like a lonely at the top, very lonely at the top feeling that I'm getting from this card, but being scared about that.
Yeah. And just being unsure about the whole thing. And then I was very surprised by what I got when I was like, so what were the blocks? And this is what I had drawn for what were the blocks, the, opening to discovery. So not walking through, and then what did I get? Aries, which to me equates as, of course, the emperor. And it's that whole patriarchy, the hierarchy, actually, it should be said, because it's not just patriarchy, it's everybody has fallen in line with a certain viewpoint of how things should be done. So, and then you
the top down.
Yeah,
look at that point.
Yeah,
and there's like a rooster at the top.
Yeah, so this is that Guardian of Pentacles, which would be the night energy. So again, that I'm getting a lot of earth energy here, but it's that same old, okay, I still feel like it's time to get moving, and I really don't think that top down is going to be a workable solution anymore.
Well, it's not in Aquarius, not Pluto and Aquarius. It's expansion, it's community, it's widening. And the top, it's lonely up there at the top. And when you're holding up that card, I saw a rooster sitting on top of a barn.
Oh,
it's like, no, it's this way, right? Like, we got to be able to go with the flow a little bit more and kind of go with where the wind is blowing. The winds of change are here. It isn't going to be this top down, because there's not seeing joy. People are not finding joy in that anymore. And that means more and more people, if it's a top down, that means the people in the middle and the bottom are suffering and are getting less, because that one person is getting more. And it's changing from that pyramid shape into more of a letting the all boats rise and spreading out of the energy. And I really think for those people who are still shooting for the top of that weather vane, and we all know what animal a weather vane is, right? There's another word for rooster. So it's not, there's other ways that can be flown, and with breeze and ease. And I really think it's the people that are going to be so stuck inside this little box, and they don't even like it anyway. They're trying to walk away from what keeps them in that box. That's what's testing the commitment here. The block is running away, is not wanting to look at what the full moon lights show us, not wanting to see the park, not wanting to go inside and look at how our own sense of self has been shattered. And it could be tied back to that Page of Pentacles. It could be tied back to when we were learning how to be, and we were learning how to be in a way that wasn't true to ourselves. It was cookie cutter. It was the weather vane's pointing this way, so therefore I must go that way.
or this is how corporate things works. You go to college, you take X and X courses, then you go and you do an internship somewhere, and there's just these different
Check the boxes. Yeah.
check the boxes, different rung on the ladder. But honestly, that's all changing. And I know there's a full moon coming up in Aries, which is the progression from what that eclipse energy was on April 8th. And this coming up, oh my goodness, it's a grand cross, and it's all in cardinal energy. So it's very world oriented because it's on the world axis, as they say. It's in all of the cardinal signs. So that's where all that energy is at. And so there's going to be a lot of changes coming up. I realize people with AI, jobs are changing. Jobs are changing.
Yeah.
And it's going to be more, I think more and more people are going to have their own personal business and then work in a community way with other people, instead of having this, you have so many rows of people between person doing the mailroom and then the person at the top. How many?
Yes, exactly. Yep.
And those are all going to be going away. That's all going to be going away. So yeah.
Yep. Because if it's not benefiting for the many, that's just not going to be supported by the universal energy, because the outside planets, those are generational shifts. Back to 2008, what's the whole shift that was started then is coming to a close now. We have to be able to just go with the flow and go with the change, because it's here. It is here, people. This is not a drill.
Well, yeah, and I think too that, yeah, and I think too, yeah, not a drill. Yeah. My phone going off. So let me get back here. There I am. I'm back. So yeah, I think that's a lot of what we're looking at going forward. And I feel like, yeah, there's lots of changes coming on with that. So I'm kind of like telling people, if your job changes and you are let go and things like that, this is part of this energy that's going to be happening, and to just go with that flow, because it's going to be better, eventually. There's a lot of things that are changing, and because it's big corporate things that are changing, that affects people on all different levels throughout the world, I believe. So, but we're going into a better place.
The weather vane is moving.
It
right?
is.
It's not, you have to be able to change with the times and incorporate it. And I really think this rigidity and this not wanting to see the imperfections is kind of like people understanding that they are not this role anymore. Like you see yourself as, that father energy. Again, it's all about like, I am my job. And if I don't have that certain position or that certain title, well, then who am I completely? And that comes from, the block is running away from the light of really who we are and what we want to do, and convincing ourselves, well, we can't, because this is what I do next. Who says who now? It needs to be says you. Right. And I think there's a certain uncertainty in that some people or some personality types are really uncomfortable with. They like coloring inside the lines. It's more comfortable I already know how that Fabergé opens. I'm going to just keep that same one. I don't want to try another puzzle.
Well, and to me, it's very interesting that I think the lessons, because I got for the lessons, I had these two cards come out, and one is the Hierophant. Keep the wisdom that you got before. Keep that wisdom, learn from it. But the Hierophant is also, they're about the higher wisdom, but they're also being mixed with this kind of energy. I think that this is that Child of Cups. This is the page energy of the cups, right? Page energy of cups. So that would be, I think that brand new Page of Cups to me is always that puppy love energy. It's just like that burst of enthusiasm that it's like, okay, mix the wisdom with this. I mean, okay, I've got the lessons, but now it's like I can have so much more fun than what I was having before. It's like, okay, it's the dogma that's associated with things. And
what I'm supposed to be doing. I love the mix of the the older energy, and then it keeps getting counteracted by the younger energies. It just keeps showing up in the cards of like those life powers are gonna come no matter what. It doesn't matter. So for the blocks and lessons is the balancing energy of that head and heart. It's not just head anymore. It's not just checking the boxes. We've got to be passionate for it, and it's got to help other people, because that's what's going to make money in the future. Is the King of Cups here. The lesson is I have to be diplomatic. I have to balance this out, or else, because at that discrepancy, like you said, it's either that straight up and down, or we've got to come out broad. And if we don't join in that, then it's kind of like lost in the shuffle a little bit here. And how can we be bold is make this decision. It's the yin and yang lining up, and the Two of Pentacles, stop the hot foot dance. And you're already dressed for the ball. You're already ready to go. Don't run out of gas. You still got to go in and talk to people. It's not about just the looking the part. That's what it is. It's not, you still got to go in there and schmooze and mingle and do whatever. And I know a lot of people hate that. I can't stand small talk. Like, I want to talk about deep things, even if I just met you, like I do not like the how's the weather vein things. So how can we be bold? It all has to be the lesson of the incorporation, because you can't be bold and drive the chariot if your soul is not aligned. If it's out of alignment, it's wrecking the chariot. It's like driving under the influence of something that is not even you. You're going to drive it off the road again. It's about authenticity. It's about that value system. Well, how can you then wrap your mind around that you are not your job title. Its currency is not all money based and stacking it up. How can I spread myself wider, not pigeonhole myself into a role?
Yeah. And I think too, as I came across what hidden information, what lessons, and here it was so interesting. This was the Three of Swords that came out. I think we're going to have things that are going to be coming up. I think people are facing that right now with all these different weather things that are coming up, and sending peace and love to those people out there that are facing the biggest changes probably of their lives. And then the card that came out was the Four of Swords, healing, right? Being there. Taking that time, taking that space. And as you'll notice, these cards are like in a different season. To me, they feel like season energy. Like, this is the night. This is like being, crushed. It is totally breaking apart, right? Things
and
change.
Like breaking, the ice. It's like you're as cold as ice about something, maybe something that they don't want to talk about, or pain is very hard to work through. It is not easy. Why it's easy to want to run away from that. It's easy to run away. It doesn't have to be love either. It's whatever breaks your heart, right? To lose a home is going to be heartbreaking. To lose a pet is heartbreaking. To lose family members is heartbreaking. To have people move away from us, right? The Three of Swords encompasses a lot. It's just grief and pain, something that stabbed us in the heart, that hurts.
And losing your community and neighbors because you can't be there anymore. It's like people that you did rely on. Now you have to change the whole, because you can't be there anymore. And I think this is like the sun coming out. This is that, the Four of Swords is that rest and recovery. And you have the sun coming out. You can see, it's almost like things are starting to thaw. It's starting to get better. And it's just going to take a little time. But that's where you take this beat and that space and try and find that. Number one, I love being in nature, but that serenity that comes with it. So there's a great time of healing. We need time.
Yeah.
All these changes.
The mountains on that's all time. that's the 3D physicality of it too. Like I love that the Four of Swords came out right after that, because that does show progression. And as that, when you're talking about the Four of Swords, the only other card in this whole deck that has the this kind of compact mirror Fabergé kind of thing going on here is that Temperance energy, which is also healing, and that earth realm. It takes time to build temperance. It's finding the puzzle pieces of ourself to find peace. And that takes a hot minute. It's not going to be easy, but she's still in that image. She's still pouring back into the earth, even with that broken mirror behind her, even with. So in that Three of Swords, those three swords are still there. The fourth one is the truth one. Okay, with the Three of Swords falling, it is you have to climb those mountains of self and healing, and it's a process. But on the other end of that, once it does thaw, there's the sword of truth there that can't be denied, and that's what you move forward with. So I like that there's progression there. That is very hopeful.
Yeah, even so, I feel like even with the things that people are facing, I think to acknowledge that there's pain there is
Yeah.
important.
Oh, yeah.
But to realize that this is a process that you're going to be going through. It's not going to, it's like, oh, well, you don't get over those things like that. It's something that takes time and progression. And actually what I found on the underside, I got the Taurus energy, which is very much things. I've got a lot of earth energy.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot of earth too.
That and the nine of Pentacles, which, things are coming back, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is usually symbolizing an independent person in business, right? Someone who's strong and now has found their own identity. And I think that's a lot of what this is saying is being willing to walk through that door, being willing to go get dressed up for the ball and then go in. Yep. and walk through that fear. But it's also this so much young energy of just do things for the fun of it. Do things that you enjoy, even in the midst of, I have seen children playing with the most stupid things you've ever seen in your entire
life. Yeah,
life.
like a deflated ball. And it's like, really, that's all they have, and they're overjoyed. Like, that hurts my heart so bad. Like, that is just like, look at a child, like, have delight into something that by the thinking mind, you'd be like, how can they find delight in that? It's an energy. And I've got a lot of Pentacles here too. King of Pentacles twice. The Queen of Pentacles flew out first, and I wasn't ready for her yet. Two of Pentacles, Three of Pentacles. It's a lot. And that topiary bush of the Nine of Pentacles, it twists up. And it's like every day is a winding road. I get a little bit closer and closer to the top and feeling fine. And it's like that gate has been opened. That's someone who stepped through the portal. They climbed that winding mountain. They did the work and got back on their feet, right? It takes time to get back to that Nine of Pentacles, especially if you got to start at foundation all over again with the deciding, and then the three. Okay, what is that third energy that's going to come in and put that third leg on that stool so there's no wobble anymore? It's got to stabilize, but then there's going to be time, and it's going to be a winding road. It's going to have to take some time to climb up that mountain to the nine again. And that it's okay to ask for support. And I feel like too, there's that energy of, oh, I can't ask, I'll be seen as weak. If I share my weaknesses, if I share where my own mirror is cracked, nobody's going to love me. So I run away from it, because I know I feel like that's something that's going to be a deal breaker for other people. But actually it is the portal. That crossing energy is the portal. We think our flaws are our blocks, but really that's what makes us so cool.
Well, and I feel like that with a lot of things changing, we're still having a lot of this grounded energy of Mother Earth that's there, because there's so much pentacle energy, which is that Earth energy. Um, that and it's like, okay, things are going back to the beginning. It's like, okay, we need to rethink how some of the things the ways that we're doing things, and we have the basic tools. The Earth is the basic tools to work with. We've got the basic tools to work with. We just have to think of different ways to work with those things. And I think that is there are going to be so many ideas once Pluto gets back into Aquarius, and that'll be in a trine to Gemini, and Jupiter then starts moving forward in Gemini. There are going to be so many mind-boggling inventions that come through. And, necessity is the mother of invention.
And that is the learn lesson too, right?
Mhm.
So the Jupiter, the learning, especially in Gemini, it's all about the thinking, learning, incorporating incorporating the information is what our whole reading is about today, of what lessons are being incorporated. And I just keep that so strong, Dawn, with that. Got to go back to the page energy. It doesn't matter if you're already a king or you were once a king. It's okay.
Don't you feel like that with technology? Because you and I are both like, okay, technologically challenged.
Yeah.
I give up. And thank God I have the understanding children that I do. But it's to me, it's very much like a lot of people are in the same boat with us now, because AI is like, now everybody has to learn it.
Yeah.
Everybody has to do this, or this program is brand new. Everybody has to learn how. So it's like leveling down some of the other things that are out there. It's like, okay, everybody's going to have to learn this.
Getting everybody back on a more equal footing, instead of the discrepancy between the haves and the have-nots. That's totally, yes. And that does require some kings to revisit pagedom.
Yes, that's so true. It's just like,
but it's okay. Like, I don't get it. Maybe that's just ego. That's just, I've already been in that position. I've already been CEO. Therefore, I could never take a lower position. What? Why not? You've got to, you have no idea what spirit is trying to alter for you and get to show you. The Page of Pentacles is about, here's the information I've shared. Here's what I've learned. And I'm so excited about it. That's what takes me to my next kingdom.
And the thing is, you have right now, because Jupiter is in that stationing and it's going retrograde, but so is Chiron in a sextile, which is helping energy. And Chiron is not the wounded healer alone. Chiron was also a mentor and taught physicians and taught other people. He was also considered a great teacher.
Yeah.
Other people. He was so you have to remember, Jupiter's also going to be learning, and Chiron's there going to be helping. So whether you are a mentor or someone else is a mentor to you, there's going to be a lot of that kind of energy going on as well. So and it's in very near that degree of where we had that 1924 was the degree of the eclipse in April. And this was 21 degrees, which is where the Jupiter and Aries sextile is occurring. And let me just check. I want to double check because I was just looking that up. The Aries, I'm sorry, not the Aries, but the Aries full moon, I mean.
The Thursdays.
The full moon, December 1st, 15th.
I couldn't remember if I just wrote the date. I didn't put my degree.
It is, see, that's at 24 degrees. So look at how close that is. So basically.
Oh yeah. 24 is 34.
Yeah. 24, 34. And so that almost puts this.
That is super close.
You know what? That puts Chiron right in between that new moon and that full moon, because one was at 1924, right? And Chiron's at 21 and this is at 24. So isn't that 3?
19 degrees in April, 24 degrees in October. Then the 21 degrees would be in the middle of that. Yeah.
So it's in between those two. Chiron is in between those two.
Interesting.
And Chiron, and this is one of the things I find fascinating. Chiron will be going back to 19 degrees, which is the same degree that it was when the nodes first entered Aries and Libra. So we will be coming full circle back in January. And when it comes up to January, Chiron will be back full circle. And the symbol for that is a little girl feeding birds in the winter.
Aww.
And I always am just like, so she's helping, here's somebody that you don't think has a lot of power.
Mm-hmm. Bingo. Yeah.
And what is she doing? She's helping these birds survive.
That's what we do as children. We just want to share. My grandma always said if you came and get a cookie, I would always ask for one for my sister. So I'd have one in each hand. Now it's fine, but that's okay. I learned that one cookie in each hand. We got to be double fisted, but that was a natural tendency, is to want to share. Right. And that's where I feel like this is kind of panning out with our fun joint reading, our little, like our test of never doing this before. That's where it's panning out of how did we act as children? How were we more giving? How were we more free? What was our natural state of play? What did you make believe that you were doing? I was always I was always the teacher, or, basically just the boss telling all the other kids what to do.
No,
I was always the oldest, but like how it was fun to, to play and be adventurous and just live in this land of your heart. And I think that's coming back, because as more people get closer instead of further and further apart in their energies, it feels like a really good thing. We're kind of going back to restart as a bigger collective rather than have so much disparity between the haves and the have-nots. And to do that, well, how can we be more childlike in our energy? How can we be more giving? What more can we learn? How can we be more gracious with ourselves and looking at our own flaws and not thinking that they're deal breakers? Because you don't know. That might be, I'm such a klutz and like I have an obnoxious laugh, but that might be the favorite thing, right? I'm not going to hide that, because then I'm hiding part of me. You get the good with the bad. But I think people are just really afraid to show them their whole selves. But I really think in the age of Aquarius, because it's like, let your freak flag fly. You've got to show your flaws are going to actually be, they're going to be the sauce. It's in there. That's what's going to be
spice.
Yeah.
Well, what I think I want to do, if you don't mind, because we're getting, we're over an hour. So this really calls to me, this particular one, maybe because
I love that.
A Hecate kind of thing with me with the keys. So I just want to read this, because this is opening to discovery. And here we go. We tune in to information from our outer environment, then assign meaning to it within our psyches. Every day, however, the amount of data we sort through exceeds what we're capable of processing. Especially since the advent of the internet, we have been bombarded with more than we could ever hope to absorb. Therefore, it's important to be mindful of what we expose ourselves to. Consistent exposure to unhealthy messages invites us into a cynical, fear-based worldview. On the other hand, conscious exposure to information supporting our well-being shifts us towards growth and expansion. The choice, though, is not always obviously ours, which is why we must be discerning on a daily basis. The universe is always engaging us. We are part of it, after all. Through synchronicities, omens, and other signs that point toward our best path, our intuition helps us tune in and see our environment like an oracle. However, this new information doesn't always make sense right away. So be curious, and non-resistant is key to learning. Today, be open to receiving important information that may come from an unusual source. The universe wants to help you, but recognizing the way this aid will arrive depends on your willingness to shut out superfluous noise. Maybe you need to take a break from social media, gossip, or the news. Don't let yourself get distracted. Listen without attachment and see what arises in your life. Expect a message from the universe and you shall have it.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah, I think we're very much getting into a very different, the hierarchy is going away.
Yeah.
And we're seriously talking about a real melting pot here, is what I believe. So I thank you for joining me, Angie. I know we're going to probably plan on doing some more collabs.
Oh
and
yeah,
we'll
that's
experiment over time, because I like to try different things and new things, and I will actually probably pick your brain more about numerology in the near future. So thank you for coming. Thank you for
Thank
watching.
you for having me. This was so much fun. I love it. I love it. I love it. We'll definitely do more if y'all will have us.
Okay, thank you. Bye, everyone.